In 2025, Bitcoin bulls finally got almost everything they asked for. ETFs were approved, institutions stepped in, even politicians started talking about crypto without hesitation. But here's the uncomfortable reality. In 2026, that same success could become Bitcoin's biggest weakness. Bitcoin has outgrown early crypto risks: exchange hacks, shady platforms, broken code. Today, Bitcoin is exposed to much larger forces: central bank policy, global liquidity, banking regulations, and even semiconductor supply chains. In this video, we're breaking down 6 major risks that could put serious pressure on Bitcoin in 2026. Some are already developing. Others are waiting for a single trigger. And just to be clear, this is not financial advice. No buying, no selling, no panic. Just a clear look at the structural risks ahead. Let's begin. The first risk is simple: a recession. Recessions happen. The problem is timing. In past crises, central banks responded by slashing rates and flooding markets with liquidity. That liquidity helped push Bitcoin higher. But 2026 could be different. If economic growth slows while inflation remains sticky, central banks may be trapped. Cut rates and inflation returns. Hold rates and the economy weakens further. Bitcoin historically moves with liquidity. When money supply expands, Bitcoin tends to rise. When liquidity tightens, Bitcoin struggles. A recession without aggressive stimulus would be a dangerous environment for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is one of the most liquid assets in the world. It trades 24/7. It settles instantly. During market stress, funds often sell what they can sell fastest, and that's often Bitcoin. This can turn Bitcoin into a liquidity exit, sold aggressively during panic, even if nothing has changed fundamentally. Next comes the mining sector. After each halving, rewards are cut in half. Costs are not. If Bitcoin's price falls, a significant portion of miners can become unprofitable. When miners are under pressure, they usually do one of two things: shut down operations, or sell Bitcoin to cover debt and expenses. Some miners are already shifting toward AI data centers for more stable revenue. But if mining capacity permanently declines, confidence in network security could weaken. Bitcoin is now deeply embedded in corporate balance sheets. Some companies have accumulated Bitcoin using debt and complex financing structures. These strategies work when markets are optimistic and capital is cheap. But if sentiment shifts, premiums compress, and investors become cautious, the entire structure can unwind. Forced selling by large corporate holders would add heavy internal selling pressure. Europe's crypto regulation sends mixed signals. On paper, crypto is being legitimized. In practice, banks face high capital requirements and strict ESG rules. For many institutions, holding Bitcoin becomes economically unattractive or legally impossible. This isn't a ban, it's a capital barrier, and capital barriers matter. Bitcoin's security depends on mining hardware. Mining hardware depends on advanced chips, and advanced chip production is highly concentrated. Geopolitical tension, sanctions, or supply disruptions could delay new mining equipment for months or even years. Unlike price crashes, supply chain disruptions take a long time to fix. Quantum computing is not an immediate threat to Bitcoin, but markets don't trade facts alone. They trade headlines. If major institutions announce quantum breakthroughs or new cryptographic standards, media narratives could spark fear. Even if the risk is theoretical, panic selling can still be real. So these are 6 risks that could challenge Bitcoin in 2026. Macro tightening, liquidity stress, miner pressure, corporate leverage, regulation, supply chain fragility, and the quantum fear narrative. None of this guarantees a crash, but risk often appears when multiple pressures align. Understanding these risks isn't bearish, it's responsible. Because smart investors don't follow hype, they prepare for reality. Powerful institutions like global asset managers, central banks, and international organizations are quietly reshaping how retirement works across the world. And when you zoom out and connect the dots, something deeply troubling becomes clear. The system we were taught to trust is starting to fail. What if modern pensions aren't a safety net at all, but a slow-moving financial crisis? And what if a potential escape from that crisis has existed for more than a decade, hiding in plain sight? Today, we're going to explore a difficult question. How much Bitcoin could someone realistically need to retire? How long might it take to build that position? And what serious risks need to be understood before relying on it? This is not financial advice. This is an educational discussion designed to help you think critically about long-term financial sovereignty in a changing world. The pension illusion. Before we talk about Bitcoin, we need to understand why people are even looking for alternatives. Most pension systems operate on a simple promise. You contribute today, and your money is saved for your future. But that's not how the system actually works. In reality, your contributions are immediately used to pay current retirees. This structure is known as a pay-as-you-go model. It relies on one condition above all else: a growing workforce that can support a smaller retired population. That condition no longer exists. When modern pension systems were designed, life expectancy was low and retirement was rare. Today, people live decades longer, birth rates are falling, and fewer workers are supporting more retirees. The result is unavoidable pressure. Governments are left with three options: reduce benefits, increase taxes, or quietly devalue the currency. The first two are politically dangerous, so the third option becomes the default. This process, often called financial repression, slowly erodes purchasing power by keeping interest rates below inflation. It functions as an invisible tax. Your savings don't disappear overnight, they simply buy less each year. Many people try to escape this by saving privately, but even there, the numbers no longer add up. Conventional advice suggests accumulating a large portfolio and withdrawing a small percentage annually. In theory, it sounds responsible. If the traditional retirement model is built on promises and debt, any alternative must be built on scarcity and self-control. That's where Bitcoin enters the conversation. Bitcoin operates on fixed supply, global accessibility, and individual ownership. There are no bailouts, no central authority, no ability to inflate away obligations. So the question becomes, how much Bitcoin could realistically matter? Instead of thinking in terms of selling assets to fund retirement, consider how the wealthy actually operate. They don't liquidate appreciating assets. They borrow against them, preserving the core asset while accessing liquidity. Bitcoin may eventually function in a similar role, but only when approached conservatively and with self-custody. In practice, most people fall far short. Market returns are increasingly driven by liquidity rather than productivity. Asset prices rise, but real purchasing power struggles to keep pace. Wage growth lags inflation, and valuations assume a future that may never materialize. The uncomfortable reality is this: the system is structured to keep people working longer while slowly weakening their financial independence. Owning a full Bitcoin is an ambitious goal, but its significance is often misunderstood. With a fixed supply and millions of high-net-worth individuals globally, mathematically, not everyone can own one. That alone makes it meaningful. But even fractional ownership matters. Owning 0.1 Bitcoin places someone ahead of the vast majority of the global population in terms of scarcity exposure. It represents a small claim on a system that cannot be diluted. The goal isn't perfection, it's positioning. The accumulation reality. The old 40-year savings model no longer aligns with economic reality. Bitcoin introduces a different approach: focused accumulation over a compressed time horizon. This isn't about reckless speculation, it's about conviction in a system with asymmetric potential. Consistent accumulation, whether through lump sums or disciplined averaging, removes emotion from the process. The objective isn't to time markets perfectly, but to participate in a monetary system with fundamentally different rules. The fight for financial control. As individuals seek sovereignty, institutions are moving in the opposite direction. Large financial players are positioning themselves as gatekeepers, both of capital flows and Bitcoin infrastructure. Influence over mining, development funding, and custodial products introduces a quiet struggle over control. At the same time, governments are exploring ways to channel private savings into politically approved investments. often under the banner of sustainability or stability. The tension is clear: centralization versus individual ownership. Bitcoin survives not because no one tries to control it, but because competing forces limit each other. That balance, however, is fragile. Beyond politics and finance lies a deeper risk: physics. Quantum computing is not an immediate threat, but it represents a long-term challenge that cannot be ignored. Even if solutions arrive in time, the transition will not be painless. Yet history shows that most Bitcoin losses don't come from advanced technology. They come from trust, exchanges, custodians, forgotten keys, and broken promises. Which is why self-custody is non-negotiable. True ownership means responsibility. Financial sovereignty doesn't end with one generation. Without proper planning, digital assets can vanish forever. Inheritance strategies, secure backups, and clear access plans are essential. Freedom without continuity is fragile. Bitcoin doesn't ask you to trust institutions for decades. It asks you to trust yourself. That responsibility is heavy, but it's also empowering. The traditional system asks for obedience and patience. Bitcoin demands awareness and accountability. There are no guarantees, only trade-offs.